This is the ATI Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the ATI Podcast. We're here for episode 12 with the band Driftless, and we've got Grant from Driftless as well as Tony joining us. I'm Barrett. He's Josh. You're familiar with us, and we are so excited about this conversation tonight. How you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah, we're good.
Thank you guys for coming on to the show.
Yeah,
Really
thank you so much
appreciate it.
for your time, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks again for having us.
Yeah, we're pumped to
So
be
we
here.
wanted to let everybody know kind of how we came across you guys, and I was just kind of looking through drum reels on Instagram myself, and I came across some of Grant's work, and it was in promotion of the new album that they had coming out at the time, which was Perfect Blue, and I was like, man, this guy's got some good chops. I need to go check out this music, and if this is his music, like, I need to listen to this music. So once I went down the rabbit hole and found you guys, I started with your Spotify account. Once I found you on Instagram, and I was like, man, these guys got quite a bit of content, and this is awesome. And I quickly became a fan. I was like, I'm just going to reach out to these guys, see if they'd be cool with coming on the podcast. So
Yeah.
This is a real pleasure to have you guys on the show today. I am a fan without question.
Yeah, we're pumped. We appreciate it, and I appreciate that recording videos and making that content actually gets to somebody, not just bots.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. It seems like anything anymore, all social media is automated, so it's good to see like actual human interaction.
Right. Without question. Now, I know you guys are kind of northern Midwestern boys for the most part, and then some of the band members have ended up out there in Oregon as well. So I would assume maybe you guys met each other like going through school or something like that. And is that in the Minnesota area?
Yeah, me and Evan met in Minnesota through some mutual friends, like during high school, and I went to college in Wisconsin, which is where I met Grant, and
Very cool.
Yep.
And as far as like music that you guys were into at the time, was that post rock at that time, or talk to me about some of the music you guys are into and maybe some key musical influences for you personally in your life at that time.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I think, I can't remember the exact year, but yeah, it was, I don't know, I was probably like 20 or 21 or something when I kind of stumbled across post rock, and I think it was Explosions in the Sky was my first taste of it. Actually, you know what it was? It probably was actually, then I remember the sweet soundtrack to 28 Days Later. I forgot who did that score, but I remember hearing that as like a high school
John Murphy
or something. Yeah, and it was like, holy crap, this is, what is this music? Yeah. And anyways, then I just didn't encounter it until years later, and yeah, it was probably whatever 21 or so or 20, and discovered Exposed in the Sky, and like This Will Destroy You, all the kind of standards and titans of the genre, and yeah, just really fell in love with it with that. Just starting from there.
Very cool. What about you, Tony?
Yeah, I honestly can't remember how I got into post rock. It might have been from Grant.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
When we met, like, we kind of formed a connection because like we were both in metal bands and like really plugged into the metal scene. And at some point, like Grant had a house and like some drums and amps in the basement, and like we started just jamming and like post rock stuff.
Yeah.
Just like with no like goal in mind, but that's, I think, kind of where it all started.
Yeah.
Like, Driftless for me, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we should shout out Danny, that son of a gun. another friend who I lived with in college, and yeah, him and I were both kind of becoming like big post rock nerd. Well, he was even further into it than I was when we met. We actually became friends talking about post rock one night, kind of drunk at a party. But anyways, yeah, like him and I, we lived together, and we kind of jam around with some of that, and then eventually we got out of school, and we were all kind of we just had stopped playing in our older bands, and we're looking just for something new and different, and just all started to hang out and just got together and started jamming and see how it worked out, and kind of eventually worked out that first EP still, and just came together pretty naturally.
Very cool. And as far as your guys' instruments and your ability to play them, was that what drew you, Grant? I guess I'll start with you, to the drums initially.
I mean, they're just sick. Like, I don't know, like they're just the most obviously cool instrument to me. Like, just from the outside, if you haven't ever played anything, it's like that looks like a good time regardless, and
right.
It has instant gratification. Even if you make like a pretty nasty sounding beat, like off time and not real polished, but as like you're first starting, as soon as you kind of hit it a little bit, you're like, oh my God, I'm on the path like to becoming a drummer. And versus like, I feel like, I don't know, guitar, it's it seems like a struggle. You gotta play Smoke on the freaking Water, man, and like
right
nobody wants to do that. Like, I don't know. So anyways,
it seems like more people try to play guitar too, so that's kind of like I don't know, just an oversaturation to some extent.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's just the obvious fun nature of it, I think, is what drew me to it.
Right.
Yeah. I played a little jazz band when I was in high school and got a little taste of it kind of way back when, and just stuck with it.
So you guys said you were like in the metal scene, and what was it like? More like deathcore, like metalcore stuff, or?
For me, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all over the place, like post-hardcore, melodic hardcore,
right?
Deathcore, just everything.
Yeah, and transitioning into that post-rock was that difficult? Was that, you know what I mean?
Well, for me, not really. Like, a lot of the metal I was into was like the very like atmospheric, melodic metal. So I think that translates pretty well to post rock.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Tony, what drew you to your instrument initially?
I think just like when I was 13 or 14, like I started getting into metal just because of like the friend group I hung out with, and I was watching music videos and just saw him playing guitar, and I was like, shit, that's so cool. Like,
I want to shred like them boys.
Try it out. So I just I got a guitar and I started learning to play all the songs I liked, and I just sit there and like play along to like my favorite albums front to back.
Yeah.
And then just started writing my own stuff eventually.
Do you remember the first song you learned how to play, by chance?
Yeah, it was man. It was something by The Used. Man, I can't remember the song name.
Yeah,
but not a metal band, but
right.
That was
for sure.
Yeah,
popular at the time for sure.
Oh, dude, I still jam The Used. I won't lie.
Yeah, I was never personally a big fan of them, but they were like always touring with bands that I liked. Like I really got into Under Oath,
right?
Especially when They're Only Chasing Safety came out. I was really into them. Saw them like several times around that time.
Yeah,
but The Used was always kind of touring with them, and then like that Under Oath DVD came out.
Yeah,
when they were touring with The Used, so they were like acting like we were, like just goofy ass kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think The Used was like my gateway to metal, maybe. They kind of like, they scream once in a while, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't remember that switch where I was just like all of a sudden okay with that, because I know that's like not the music that I was necessarily raised on. There were heavy bands that I was raised on, like, like Black Sabbath and bands like that. Like my dad liked them, but I really can't remember that band that was kind of the gateway when it came to screaming.
Yeah, The Used is probably one of the earlier ones that I actually kind of got into that did that. Like A Box Full of Sharp Objects, stuff like that. Like that was actually some of the earlier screamo type stuff that I listened to, I think. So yeah, that's a good call on that. I didn't really think about the used being one of the earlier ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So I know that you guys have been cutting teeth all together for a little while. When did the band first start? When did Driftless start?
So that was back in I think 2015, somewhere around then. We all kind of collectively finished with college and then moved near each other in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and just were kind of hanging out and started kicking around the idea of just starting to work on a new project. Just kind of all living in a new, or not necessarily new city to us, but just at that point in life, anyways, it'd be fun to start a new project and play some shows and just kind of see what happens. And had kind of like, just low stress. It was just like have fun with it and make something new. I think we were all maybe getting a little bit tired of some of the projects or what we had been working on prior, and just it was a good kind of fresh start.
Yeah, it seems like kind of the genre change is a pretty good palate cleanser and a hard lead in the opposite direction to some extent, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you guys first started, the band, was it with anything in mind outside of just doing something different? Did you guys have any ambitions of, playing out initially and kind of where you wanted to go with the project and that sort of thing? What type of goals did you guys have?
I think nothing really. I mean, I think for sure we were like, yeah, let's play some shows, but that's like the extent of the ambition there. Like,
sure.
And like, let's, once we started jamming more and forming some songs, it was like, well, yeah, let's, put out a record.
Got something here.
right.
Yeah.
Now, are you guys of the school of thought? Do you guys do like your own recording and tracking and that stuff, or do you guys go to a studio for that?
So we kind of split it up. Yeah. Oh, God.
You go ahead.
Oh, I was just no. I mean, I'll hit the drums part, and you can talk about guitars. How about that? We've been tracking drums. Actually, we did it two places, but the last two albums, EPs, have been with Carpet Booth in Rochester, Minnesota. Shout out to Zach there. He's great to work with. Has done some Young Gravy tracks lately. So yeah, it's a sweet studio. So anyways, as we do live tracking there, and then actually still did it at my buddy's studio that he was setting up, dude named Brandon, and we did it at his house for the first one, and then it worked out pretty good. But yeah, you can get into the guitar side of stuff.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah.
How about you, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, drums was just the one thing where we were like, yeah, we want this to be live and real drums. But other than that, like, we'd been recording demos for years before that. So it's like, we felt pretty capable to just track our own guitars and vocals and everything else. So that's what we've been doing.
And are you guys mixing stuff yourself, or are you guys sending that off to get done?
Yeah, we send it off. We don't trust ourselves to.
I hear you.
I'll say Tony's being a little modest right here. He does a lot of the heavy lifting, and I know he did a lot of that with his previous band too. And starting this band, he was already like solid with it, for sure, getting really good demos. But I mean, you do a lot of prep work before it goes off to who we have do like the final mix and master.
Yeah,
so
you can't beat that like professional polish.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do the best we can.
I think it's always like a good practice to have a fresh set of ears on anything, really. And also you can I know I can speak from my own experience, like you can kind of get caught up in your own head.
Exactly.
And you can hear certain things maybe that aren't there or not as prominent as you think that they are in the music. And it's really helpful to like put that into somebody else's capable hands.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And we've been super fortunate to work with some pretty solid producers for those mix and masters. Like most recently, which I know we were all like fanboying over, WIll Yip did Perfect Blue for us, and I just remember I still haven't done it, but like the first email he sent back, it was with any kind of positive praise of the music. I was like, oh my God, I plan on like printing it out and just putting a little picture on my wall of Will Yip giving some like props to the music. It's like, that's kind of up there for, in my head, that's like as good as a Grammy. So I'm going to take it.
Right. It's like, he
Yeah.
didn't have to do it. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
it feels
Right.
good to like have someone of that caliber just be like, yeah, it's sweet. Like, I want to do it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's had quite the eclectic experience, with various bands and genres doing their stuff, and it's really and a lot of bands that I'm personally a fan of. People like Circus Survive, and I like the early Code Orange stuff, but he's done stuff with Code Orange, and Wonder Years is also awesome. Balancing Composure, Super Heaven, that's another band that I think is pretty underrated, but you can definitely tell kind of he has a signature approach, I think, with mixing and mastering. And I didn't know that he actually did that album for you guys, but it makes a lot of sense now.
It does make a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just got that flavor to it. You can't quite describe it, but it does have just that Will Yip sound to it a little bit.
How did that come together for you? Did you just kind of send him an email and see if he'd be interested, or
Yeah,
how did that
yeah.
connection happen?
that's it. Go to willyip.com.
Really?
Wow.
So whatever, and send it
Incredible.
off and hope
That's
you get a
awesome.
bite. I mean,
Wow.
yeah, like he had just mixed the Caspian album.
Yeah.
before, and I think that's what's kind of sparked the idea where it was like, oh, he'll mix post rock. He hasn't really done that before. So,
Yeah.
And in fact, I was going to tell you kind of like some of the first impressions I got of listening to you guys. I could, it's easy to, when you hear post rock, you say other post rock bands, but I think there was some elements. I'm like, oh, it kind of reminded me of Caspian there, or, Explosion in the Sky moments, like, or This Will Destroy You. Like I can see a lot of that type of stuff in your guys' music, but you guys are uniquely doing your own thing, where I think you guys have kind of a signature to your sound. And this is paramount in any post-rock band. Is I just love your flavor and your ability in your dynamics and how you build songs.
Right.
There's some various examples that I could give you guys, but it's just incredible. Like that just isn't something that you develop overnight. You have to have a real talent for that stuff. And there's just a linear psychology in listening to a song from you guys from start to finish, where you can hear it build and build and build and build. And it's just incredible. It really is.
Yeah,
Thanks.
well, I appreciate that. Yeah. How much more we can say? Yeah, much appreciated. We do our best.
I still have a lot to get through. I've been playing I guess Perfect Blue, it came out in 2022, right?
Yep. Yeah. Or I believe so. It was like right at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that album's incredible. I had that on repeat too.
Yeah, I was playing that one today on the drive over. So.
Yeah, it is very excellent. But I was your guys' first, I guess, EP or release. Was that Still, or was it The Greatest Need?
Yep.
Okay.
Still was the first one. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Grant.
Oh no, I was just gonna kind of go off on a minor tangent, I suppose, a little bit with like Perfect Blue. Like we, I don't know. To us, it seems like Perfect Blue is sort of a good mix of Still and The Greatest Need is kind of how we were thinking of it. Like I felt like we got kind of, if you can get technical with post rock, The Greatest Need felt more technical. I know it was trickier drumming and just trickier guitar parts. And I mean, again, we're not like shredding necessarily, but
sure,
it was it was kind of pushing boundaries for us, and Still felt a little more straightforward and kind of punching and clear. And then I feel like we really kind of combined the two into sort of a little more intricate, but yet not as intricate maybe as The Greatest Need, and just is more straightforward, but in an interesting way. So yeah, no, we're really happy with how Perfect Blue came out.
Yeah, and again, there's these various ideas are popping in my mind now after hearing some of your guys' backstory and stuff. Like in a song like Nothing that you guys had on The Greatest Need, that might be my favorite track of your guys' overall, just because I think it shows a variety of your guys' musicianship. And it's like a 10-minute track, I believe, as well. So it's kind of easy to implement that stuff whenever you have a track that long. But, it's just, and especially there's about 7 minutes in, Grant, there's a drum part that just kind of sticks in my head that you play, and it's really intense. And it's just, that song in particular is, I arguably is of the most beautiful song, one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. And, I just,
Damn.
You guys have been setting the hooks into me, man. I'm telling you.
And now he's got me setting the hooks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Damn, I appreciate hearing that. That's again, yeah, it's cool. It's cool to hear feedback, from someone who isn't like our mom.
Yeah,
who likes it,
Yeah. Well, speaking of feedback and reception, what do you guys? I mean, what kind of feedback have you been getting? Outside of family and friends, have you guys gotten any type of notoriety, a write up, or anything that really made you feel great about what you're doing and kind of put more wind in your sails?
Yeah, I mean, nothing crazy, but I mean, honestly, I expected some backlash, like, oh, they're doing vocals now or something, like.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
like literally I didn't see one comment or anything about
No.
just like, so that was kind of surprising. But yeah, in general, like it's been just great feedback, and
Yeah, and the fact that you guys have started doing vocals too, it just seemed like a natural progression in what you guys were doing to me. And I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting, the fact that they didn't do vocals and are doing vocals now. But I think you kind of see that in post rock with several different bands. I mean, Caspian
Building
kind of
right.
there, and Mogwai was another band.
Mhm.
Did an album with some vocals on there. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, and it sounds great, guys.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. Yeah.
It doesn't sound. I don't feel like I'm listening to a different band. I guess
Right,
is the point
exactly.
I'm trying to make. It's still you
that's
guys.
what most people I think are scared of, is when you have a band that's all instrumental and then you add vocal work, you're afraid it's going to be something completely different new, and that's definitely not what's going on with your guys' situation. I think it's enhancing the sound, if anything, personally. But I really do dig it. I think it's down. I'm down with this newest album. It's really good.
yeah, thanks. I think one thing that might have helped that is, honestly, when we started writing the album, like we had no intention of putting vocals on it. Like it was completely written. We started mixing it, and then Evan was like, guys, this needs vocals. And like, I was like, what? Like, you bring this stuff now? And like, also,
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, I think it
And
was
then,
didn't Will Yip have it damn near done?
yeah,
When
yeah.
we-
So he's a saint for that. Like we were like,
Yeah.
dude, like we're sorry, but like after like internally we had dwelled on it for, I don't know, a couple of weeks or so, and we all agreed, like, yeah, actually, I think this is a way to really enhance what we have here. And then we just went back to Will, and we were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, but we're
going to add some vocal tracks into this.
Yeah. So,
He seemed like he was a pretty good sport about it.
oh yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was way too patient with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, much
So who
love.
took on the vocal duties? I don't know that I've discovered who is actually doing it. Is that you, Tony, or is that Grant?
That was me.
Okay.
Great stuff.
Voice
sounded
of an
good, man.
angel.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I didn't know you
You're
had
the
it in him.
serenade us.
It was all like shock. It was like, damn, Tony.
Yeah, that's cool.
Was that your first time like attempting vocals in any of your musical projects, or?
So, kinda, yeah. Like I had been doing some stuff on the side, like myself, but nothing I had released. Where I was kind of like getting into shoegaze and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe had a couple demos that didn't really go anywhere, and I didn't think I could finish a song like that.
Sure.
And but yeah, that kind of forced me to just do it.
Right.
So yeah.
I think the production approach, and I don't know if this was intentional by Will or any direction that you gave to him or whatever the case is, but how your vocal mix sets in on the newest album is, I was just like, oh, this is kind of like, like Dive or Slow Dive, or bands of that ilk, My Bloody Valentine, where the vocal mix is kind of behind the music somewhat, but still, it's distinctive enough that you can hear it in the notation and enunciation, that it almost, I think, like mixes like that usually almost makes your voice more of an instrument,
Right.
and just kind of adds to the ensemble and the presentation.
Right. It doesn't like power over the track. It kind of enhances the track. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely what we were going for, especially coming from just post rock and then adding that in. It seemed like a natural, like, way to not make it so jarring. Plus, like, we all like music like that, some shoegaze bands, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
And I really didn't, like, when I first started listening to you guys too, I was like, I saw shoegaze in kind of the sub genre mention, and I was like, I didn't really see it. But then once I got to your tracks with vocals, I'm like, okay, I see it now in that mix and some of those comparisons I made earlier. Do you guys think going forward you're going to keep with it, keep with some vocals on the tracks, or might go back to completely instrumental, just up for whatever?
yeah, I don't know if there's any going back now.
Yeah. Once you cross that barrier, right?
Pretty much, yeah. One thing we do keep trying to do is we keep trying to infuse metal into these songs, and it doesn't happen. But we all have so much background and history in metal. Like, we keep trying to sneak in little blast beats here and there, or we keep trying to
I totally noticed that.
Yeah. So like some breaks or something.
Yeah, we might go overboard and like there's blast beats for 2 minutes.
One of our demos, is we're basically ripping off Deaf Heaven. It feels like, but it's like it's I don't know. So I don't know. We're just, I don't know. We're trying to have fun with it. Like, we don't have goals. We're just three guys having a good time, really. Sure. And
that's the best approach, because then you use your creative juices and just do what you like to do. You know what I mean? You're not like trying to please anybody but yourself. You know what I mean? So you can really write what you want to write.
And a lot of the musicians, especially if they're good ones, I think you're your biggest critic. So, if it's not going to leave the walls of the studio or your tracking space or whatever the case is, or the practice space, but I just, just right away, guys, I can't express enough, like, how much your music and your instrumentation, your musicianship just like jumped right off the page to me.
Yeah.
And I think that our fans and people that listen to our show are going to get that same experience whenever they first listen to you guys. And of course, we're going to have some tracks of these nice gentlemen, Driftless, on the show today. So stick around at the end of the show on the final mix, and you guys will get to hear some of our favorite tracks from Driftless.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think everybody will love you guys. I think our listeners are going to find a new thing they're really into, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing I wanted to ask you guys before you got off here too, as well, is kind of the songwriting process, because I know you guys are kind of living, a bit of a ways apart. The bassist now kind of out on the West Coast. How does that work for you guys now? Are you guys just spitballing ideas back and forth, sending a Google Drive file to somebody and then they're kind of putting their own spin on it and hand it off back? Like, what's that look like?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's so many bands nowadays doing that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, but also, I mean, we were fortunate enough to, like, we started, writing together in person for years. So I think that definitely helps. Like, us like do it online now and still kind of have a natural kind of vibe together.
For sure. Yeah, and technology has come such a long way too that that's very doable. But the fact that you guys did play together, to echo your point, that you guys already knew that you had that chemistry and kind of like minds as musicians and same end goal. I know that you didn't say that you had goals, but end goal in the sense of this is the type of sound that we're trying to achieve and how we complement one another.
Yeah. Yep, I agree with that.
So when it comes to the songwriting process as well, is there, is it very collaborative? Is like, Tony has an idea or whoever, is there kind of a primary songwriter? What's that look like too?
Um, I guess more often than not, how it goes is like usually Evan's the one to start a
Okay.
song. Like he just kind of riffs. Like he has just tons of riffs. Like he'll just send them out and like we see one we like and we'll just start adding something to it. And I mean, it just goes from there. We pass it back and forth and keep adding, and then it forms a whole song. And yeah.
Very cool. What about you, Grant? What kind of input do you have outside of the beats that you're laying down?
You know, not. I mean, I can't play guitar, so I always struggle with specific feedback on that. You know,
Yeah.
generally it's more general feedback. If I have anything on like a, progression of a song or whether
Time
or not,
change.
yeah, just or if something should go a little bit longer to build up or what have you, and then if there's any particular drum beats that I think would go well, then we certainly have kind of reworked some riffs a little bit, or placement of various notes to maybe align with a certain drum beat here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like guitars go, yeah, I'm not necessarily, making as many good contributions as like Tony and Evan are. I do what I can,
Sure.
but I don't speak guitar, so it is a struggle sometimes. But
Yeah.
more on the general side.
I totally understand. You guys got anything else in the works right now that you guys are working on?
Yeah,
working toward a new release?
What's
that
in the
looking like?
future?
Yeah.
So, well, I think we could talk about at least the vinyl. I think we won't give too much away necessarily, but we are working with a partner to release Perfect Blue on vinyl, and
Oh,
we are
hell
awesome
yes.
on that. Yeah, it's going to be an amazing just package and everything, kind of going all out with it. So that should be coming up here this year. That is one
Awesome.
kind of exciting piece of news that I know we're all just
Yeah.
pumped on. We
Definitely keep us informed, because I would like to have that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you guys. Yeah, you'll definitely be one of the first to know. We'll let you know once we get everything a little more finalized. But this will be the first of our releases we'll be putting out on vinyl. And again, yeah, I guess as far as goals go, that might actually be one of them. I know we've all wanted to do it. It's just so expensive, so that's why we're pumped to work with a partner on this, and finally get it done. We did release still on physical CD, which I actually have a few kicking around in my basement here. And maybe I'll send you guys some if you give me an address.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
But
actually,
yeah.
A guy that does the show with us, Ridge, and his brother, they do waxing on, and they actually do album reviews and stuff. And he actually commented on Twitch and said, "Send me a copy of any media, and we'll do a review for you guys." So,
sick.
Yeah, we can get you an address and let Ridge, and we can do one too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the waxing on piece of ours, like Josh said, they just review physical media specifically, whereas we interview not only musicians but various types of artists, whether it's physical medium, impressionists, painters, just about anything under the sun, professional wrestlers even, yeah, comedians, so on and so forth. So, but we often try to focus in on the St. Louis area because that's kind of where we're from, but we get the occasion to reach out to somebody outside of that area, such as your case, and it just I don't think it could have been a better band for this week's episode for sure.
Absolutely, yeah,
absolutely. And I even told Josh before we even got on this that I was really looking forward to talking to you guys. That I was genuinely a fan of your guys' music, and I think our audience is going to be as well.
Cool. Yeah, I hope anyone who checks us out enjoys it and grabs a snack for listening, because the songs are long.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I was just curious too with regards to the vinyl piece of it. Did they tell you guys that there was going to be much of a lead time on that? Because I'm hearing that things are starting to get a little bit better with vinyl production, but I don't know how actually that is, or how much better is better.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure we have a finalized date, but I was surprised about how soon we think we're gonna have that ready. now. So
That's cool.
So yeah, it does seem like it's probably getting better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
I'm sure the price is going up though too, because isn't it a lot of it based on oil?
Yeah.
And I know oil's been getting ridiculously priced again too. So, but maybe there's more of it or something. I don't know. I don't really know what was causing the vinyl shortage. I just know that it was a pain in the ass there for a couple
Well, it was
of years.
that, and also I believe Adele and Taylor Swift specifically.
Oh, I forgot
They
about
mass
that.
produced their albums like hundreds of thousands in vinyl,
Oh.
which kind of ate up a lot of manufacturing across the table. That paired with the pandemic and supply
was
chain
a-
issues and oil prices going up, it was like a perfect storm of like screwing vinyl production period for anybody.
Yeah, Ridge said Swift and Adele.
Yeah, Swift and Adele definitely were at least a third of the issue that took
That's
place.
crazy, man.
Yeah, we can't compete
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah, I mean, who can for real?
Right? Yeah.
So, guys, whenever you guys are got some motion on that vinyl, as Josh mentioned, let us know. Just outside of the fact that we want to buy one,
Yeah.
we're gonna let our audience know that it's available too. So, and we'll be sure to share that, and so that our audience members can pick that up too.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the chances of us seeing you guys on tour anytime? I hear Explosions in the Sky is going on their last tour. Maybe we can get you guys to open for them.
Yeah, there you go.
That'd be
Let's
wild.
Let's get a campaign started.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I mean, yeah, if some crazy band was like, "Yeah, you guys are the ones we want," then yeah, I mean, we'd probably
Make it
do what we
happen.
have to do. But I mean, I don't know, we all got day jobs that we all.
I
enjoy,
understand,
and
man.
It's we living in real life here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand totally. We go through the same thing.
Right.
This is just our little side hustle and something we do
Yeah.
is fun and try to, pay it forward. Like I wish I had something like this when I was a musician for, people to talk about my stuff and
Right.
that sort of thing. So that's just kind of the way we try to approach it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you guys doing this. I mean, this is my first interview. This is sweet. So yeah,
Well, good.
It's nice that again people have found our music, enjoy it, and want to talk to us about it. Like doesn't get much cooler than that.
Now, I know that our audience members can follow you guys on Bandcamp specifically. I know that music's on Spotify. I always consider Spotify the commercial. And if you actually like an artist, go check out their Bandcamp, maybe Bandcamp Friday, where money goes more directly toward the artist specifically.
They're on Apple Music too, because I have Apple Music.
Apple Music. Anywhere else, I guess you guys have social media, of course. Instagram is where I primarily follow you guys, but I know you guys have Facebook as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're pretty much only active on Instagram these days.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah, I
even
hear you.
bigger,
Yeah.
just bigger, but yeah.
I spend majority of my time on Instagram as well. Yeah. I think that seems to be more of the artist outlet in social media, that and TikTok. So
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
feel like an old
we-
man on TikTok.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was gonna
yeah.
say, we haven't figured that out yet. Like,
Yeah.
even just
We
making
don't
those
even
damn
post
reels
ours.
was like hard enough. Like I can't.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
well, because it's like there's a story, a post, and a freaking reel, and like you can do a
Right.
reel as a post, but I don't know the whole.
Yeah, I know.
We're just old
It
men
is,
now, so
It's a little daunting, especially it seems as like soon as you get it down, something changes and, your whole workflow's kind of screwed up on social media
Yeah.
too.
yeah.
Without
Well, yeah,
question.
and then they change aspect ratios or dimensions
Yes.
of images and the whole. I mean, every phones change every year, so backgrounds and
Yeah.
it's crazy. Even
Yeah,
Spotify,
or-
you got like the moving backgrounds. We got a special moving
Right.
background on like the Renew track single, and yeah, like it's a whole other thing you got to figure out now. Which actually shout out
Absolutely.
to our buddy Dennis Sengdong, who did our music video for Renew.
Awesome.
So it's all 3D animation work. He's a great animator out in LA and helped
That's
us out
awesome,
on
dude.
that. And anyway, so yeah, just reminded me that's just scene used in the background of that Spotify background. But yeah, it's a whole deal. We also have
Yeah, it's
YouTube now too. If you do want to watch those whatever drum videos, we got a YouTube. But I think it's just Driftless Band.
Very good. Well, we'll be certain to tag you guys on YouTube too. So we're everywhere as far as podcasting channels are concerned, and have our own YouTube channels. So we'll put our video conversation up there on demand and just have the interview segment from this episode. But the audio drops that we have an open and closing segment. Open, we try to talk current events. Closing, we usually just promote, recap our conversation, promote next week's episode, and any special events that we're involved in too, because we do on-site stuff and promotion of small business. We just did a record store here last week, which was really fun.
Yeah.
Really good time. So just try to keep it in the music wheelhouse more times than not, but we go outside of that too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Guys, we appreciate your time today, and I know it's
so much.
Always awkward connecting with somebody that you don't have any type of background or familiarity with, but I really appreciate the conversation, and just really looking forward to your guys' success, because I think it's just a matter of time. It just takes the right person to hear you guys, and you guys are very talented, and I can say that from being a musician myself, and just the sky's the limit, I think, for you guys.
Hey, this is Josh from ATI Podcast. For show updates and news about the podcast, follow us on social media. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/ATI Podcast 22, on Twitter at podcast_ATI, on Instagram at the ATI Podcast, on TikTok at ATI Podcast. DMs are always welcome. Have a question for the show? You can always email us at atipodcastquestions@gmail.com. Stay safe out there.
This is Barrett from the ATI Podcast. Each week, Josh and I discuss current events, pop culture, music, TV, movies, politics, sports. Nothing is out of bounds. You can also tune in to learn about rising artists, small businesses. Whether it's music, graphic design, filmmaking, or even a brick-and-mortar mom-and-pop shop, we will be spotlighting folks and their endeavors. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Anchor, or anywhere you enjoy your podcasts. Just search ATI Podcast. We would like to thank you for your continued support, and as always, please stay safe out there.